officially live.
Doom, doom, doom.
Doom, doom, doom.
Doom, doom, doom.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Supernaturally Suspicious podcast. I am Amber, and I am joined by
Nikki.
Naki. We are going to try to tell some stories, mostly paranormal stuff. Try to get into the background of things a little bit. And hopefully it's some stuff that you haven't heard before. That's what we're trying to aim for. Although I feel like it's not always going to be the case, but we're going to try our best.
As much as we can.
Let's see. Today, though, for our very first episode, I have a story that really fascinated me. Like just hearing the actual accounts of it was crazy.
Mm.
And I thought it would be the best one to kick off since it's almost Halloween.
I'm down.
Yep. And so hopefully we can get this all taken care of and get it posted by then. But it's in regards to Eric and Shelley Martin. And I feel for these people, for real. Like if this happened to me, I don't know if I would ever feel comfortable again living near woods.
See, woods are already creepy, so
I know. Well, I know, but where I grew up, we were surrounded by woods and I liked it and I want to move back there. But hearing this story, it's like if something like this happened to me, no, I couldn't do it. I'd be like, nope, going back to the city.
I'm already scared of the wild. Let's not add to it.
So should we just go ahead and jump into it?
Yeah, what do you got?
All right. So Eric and Shelley purchased a home. I couldn't find the exact date. It was either in 2005 or 2006 in Palmyra, Maine. They moved there so Shelley could be closer to work. At the time, Eric had a workplace injury that damaged his back, so he was unable to work. The house was located in a secluded area surrounded by dense woods and a pond. Um, Off of the house was a little shed. Eric himself was an avid hunter, so when they moved to their new home, Shelley had asked him, to keep his guns in the shed.
Mm.
At the time, she did not feel comfortable having them in the house.
Okay.
You're gonna, I feel like she has changed on that. I'm pretty sure she now lets him keep them in the house.
Shit.
Uh, their daughter Chelsea was also living with them. But as time went on, it became custom for Eric and Shelley to sit out on the front porch at the end of the night and have a cup of coffee and talk about their day. Eric had confided in his wife that he had seen on multiple occasions a little girl roaming the property. He described her as unkempt with braided hair. She had dated clothes and lace-up leather boots. He stated that she appeared mean, but on occasions that he had seen her, she seemed not to notice him. And then Shelley did report to, I don't know if it was a TV show or like a blog, but Phantoms and Monsters. She said she never really has eye contact with him or anything. He'd mentioned her being outside or in the house, and it wasn't a big deal to either of us. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Yeah.
Like when you first move in somewhere and your husband's like, oh, by the way, we
I'd
live.
already be out. I'd be like, no.
It's like, oh, we live in the middle of nowhere in a very secluded place, but there's this little ghost girl roaming the property, and sometimes she's even in the house.
No, I will live in a shelter. I will live under, I will live on a park bench in the city. No.
Not gonna do it.
Nice.
Shelley also said, or she also reported feeling her foot being slapped as she was sleeping, but both felt pretty unfazed by the ghostly presence, as she did not seem like a threat.
Um,
If you're slapping me in the middle of the night, we're gonna have some
you're a
issues.
threat. You're a threat. I'm gonna fight back. I'm gonna be punching at air because
I'm gonna be punching in air.
nobody slaps me in my sleep and gets away with it.
However, though, this was just the beginning of a series of events that would cause them to uproot and move again. Her daughter Chelsea had her boyfriend Nathan over to the house one day. They decided to take the dogs for a walk in the woods. Once they were there, they had let the dogs off of their leashes. Of course, being dogs, they immediately took off, but they ran straight for this like weird hole in the ground. Um, Chelsea and Nathan caught back up with the dogs, and put them back on their leashes because they didn't want the dogs to like fall in the hole. Understandably. Nathan stated that it was odd, like how round the hole was, and it looked like it had been dug with care. That I don't
So, well, how would you know it's not just somebody messing with you at that point?
right.
That'd be my first thought. Like,
Right, you just like move into a new place, nobody knows you. Like and you don't know at that point like what the neighbors do themselves.
right. Because they could be, you know, woohoo, out there themselves. Like,
Well, I can say though that at that point Chelsea told Nathan that she felt very uneasy and asked him to come back to the house with her. So because they did feature this story was featured on, I think it was back in 2013 on the Sci-Fi Channel. Um and I think that was the first time I had actually seen it, and then I never really heard about it anymore.
mhm.
And so when we decided to do this podcast, I was like, you know what? I want to tell that story. It's a really good story. Um, I don't like, I don't know how many people would have seen it, but it's crazy like what this family like went through. And Shelley's gone on like blogs and stuff in regards to it, and like because
So,
for TV they kind of exaggerate things and stuff
yeah.
and they leave things out. Like in if you ever could find the episode, um like they completely like leave the pond out of the story, and she was like that's a major part of it because that's where they hung out. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, a little bit.
I know, sorry.
So here's my
I know,
question.
right? Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. We need Weasel for that part.
I know, right?
Just send him over the sound bites and stuff.
I know. All right. Anyway, 3 weeks before Memorial Day weekend in 2007. So this was all within about a year, maybe year and a half. Because, like I said, I couldn't find if they moved in 2005, like at the end of it, or it was 2006. But anyway, Memorial Day weekend in 2007, things got incredibly weird. One night, as Eric and Shelley sat on the porch, as per their daily ritual, they seen some strange pulsing lights along the tree line. As they talked about the lights, they thought maybe it could be hunters looking for places to set up trail cams. They also considered it could be like some sort of prank.
Mhm.
Um, Although something just didn't seem right. And that made Shelley and Eric keep guessing as to what it could be. Shelley did go on to state that the lights would get really strong and then they'd fade out. Then they would come back on again in like a repeating pattern. She said that she felt that they were unnatural and unexplainable aliens. is what I'm thinking.
Well, I would just think somebody's messing with me because I don't
Yeah,
know if I'd go like
because you're
aliens.
the rational one of the podcast. That's why. I would have, my
But
mind would be like, nope, don't go over there. That's some sort of like skinwalker alien bullshit. And you'd be like, that's probably just some people pulling a prank.
that's my husband.
Which is, oh God, that, nope, I couldn't do it. Um, anyway, she said the more they looked at them, the more they seemed to change and move around. See, would you still think that though? That it was like people just like out there with flashlights, like just flinging them around or something?
Probably more so if they're moving. If they're moving around, yeah, I'd be like, in my mind, I would try to rationalize it as, it's like I said, like somebody's just messing with me because I know some very immature people that would mess with me like that. So I'm not going to put it past anybody. And
Right. No, yeah, no, I could see that. But well, Eric called for his son Sean to come out and investigate the lights with him. As they got closer to the lights, they went out. Eric thought at this point that it was for sure like poachers or something.
see, I'm with Eric.
See? Yeah, well, but I mean, yeah, the whole flashlight thing. I mean, if you get close and the lights go out, and I don't know. So, but what he did though was he sent Sean without a flashlight to like circle around to see if they could catch them. I
Okay.
mean, what else are you gonna
Immediately,
do?
no.
What are you gonna do to try to? I mean, to protect your property.
Right, no, but I'm not going out into the woods without a flashlight. Wait a minute. It might not be anything spooky, but it's
Would
still
you?
someone trying to
Would you
kill
just
me, I
look at
think.
your? You would just look at your dad then and be like, no, you go
Absolutely not.
around.
You have fun with that. Let me know how it works out for you. I'm going to hang out over here. Oh, but
Well,
he's injured too, right?
yeah, the dad's injured. Yeah, he has a head injury. So he can't really like run off and see what's going on. So he sent his son instead.
Give me one of your hunting tools and a flashlight. We can renegotiate this.
Right. Let me see. So, but at that time, both Eric and Sean felt more tense. They both stated that the woods were extremely quiet, and the only noise that could be heard for what seemed like miles was the twigs and branches that they themselves were stepping on. Eric stated that he felt that something was out there, but the fear that gripped him was nothing like he had ever felt as his experience as a hunter. He said the air was still and you could hear a pin drop, yet they both found nothing in the woods that night. So they both like just kind of regrouped together and went back to the house.
Okay.
I just couldn't, I mean, for somebody to be a hunter and like to know basically, like the sounds of the woods and things, like it honestly, I mean, it shouldn't be that quiet. Like there should be bugs and stuff going on in the middle of the night.
Well, I mean, so there's that, but there's things to think about too. Like, what time of year is that?
It was like right before Memorial Day weekend.
Mm.
When is Memorial Day?
Mayish. So, and this is in Maine because bugs could
Yeah.
still be hibernating, but maybe not. Not around
Well,
Memorial Day. So I think like the time of year, because you think,
Memorial Day is in, so like this year Memorial Day was May 30th.
yeah. So like
So
I think certain times of year, like I think that helps determine a lot too, and where my mind would be
right.
because bugs die off or hibernate or whatever it is that bugs do.
Well, yeah, but
Animals, you would hear deer,
right, you would, I mean, deer,
raccoons,
Yeah, possums.
possums.
Look at us just now starting to name off like nocturnal stuff.
Right. Things we know are out in the woods, like just chilling.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Bears,
there's gonna be some sort of noise, even the wind.
bears.
Yeah, bears.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
I mean,
these
there's
things.
gonna be something. It should never be completely silent.
No.
That's what I think anyway.
No, you're right. It wouldn't be. So
It,
that's suspicious.
so that's a little sus.
That's a little soft.
Yeah, so but anyway, on and of course it's going to be a foggy night. On the foggy night of Memorial Day, Chelsea had gone to bed and Shelley was making a pot of coffee for Eric and herself. Sean was not home that night. He went to go stay with some friends. The family dogs seemed upset and refused to go to their kennels. Sign number one for me.
Yeah. No.
You always trust your animals.
If my dogs freaked out,
Yeah.
you know, they
There,
freak out over a leaf. So, Okay. So
yep.
dogs
Eric.
dogs are suspicious.
Yep. Dogs are suspicious. Um, Eric said that it was another quiet night. By this time, they had lived here for nearly a year, and he knew what kind of animals to expect to hear. However, again, it was eerily silent. As they were sitting on the porch, Shelley decided to shine her flashlight in the field. She expe- she expected to see a horse or a cow out there, but instead she saw nothing. She turned off her flashlight and set it back down. At this time, Eric was overcome with a strong sense of danger. He tried to rush Shelley back into the house. He didn't know why, but he was terrified. Shelley, however, saw no reason to leave the porch. That was until she heard some rustling in the field. She picked up her flashlight and pointed it once more towards the field. This time, she did see something. There were three sets of reflecting eyes staring back at them. Two
What?
more, yeah, I know. Two more of whatever these things were became apparent to Eric and Shelley, making a total of five creatures crawling towards them.
Whew.
See, it's the crawling part that gets me because anything that's like close to the floor freaks me out. We had this conversation the other day about
Yeah.
how I'm scared of things that are shorter than me in it because I'm only 5'1",
Yeah.
and I'm not good with it.
Well, see, I'm afraid of wild animals. So that's where my mind would be. Like
Right.
even like feral cats, like I'm terrified of them. Like
Yeah.
leave me the hell alone.
Well, no, I mean just anything in general, just crawling towards you, and you
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
I'm straight panic.
Yeah, we're going in the house. Is what we're doing.
And we're not opening the door for anything that scratches.
Right. Um, she said they were only about 20 feet away when she had spotted them with her flashlight. So Shelley described them as being about 7 feet tall, kind
What?
of hunchbacked, with their ears sticking 3 inches above their scalp.
But
Yeah,
you said they were crawling.
yeah.
So then how would she know they were about 7 feet? Did they
Oh,
stand up?
oh yeah. We're gonna get there.
Okay. So I'm like, wait, things happened and I missed it.
Right. Nope. Nope. We're gonna get there. Um, they had fur that varied from light brown to very, very dark brown, and it was smooth to their bodies, but the fur around their heads were like wild. Um, she said the bridge of their noses measured about 7 inches. By her best guess, what really stood out to them though was the legs. She said the thighs reminded her of a kangaroo's, and the foot had a very long arch and the heel of a human.
Hmm.
Um, but I do want to say that neither Shelley or Eric has ever came out and called what they seen that night werewolves or anything like that.
Mhm.
But it's hard to the way she describes them, it's hard to say that it, you can't compare it to anything else.
Right.
But they've never like
They've never come out and said that.
right in all of the interviews that I have seen or all the blogs that I've read from their accounts, and it's Shelley herself, like in the blogs as well. Um, she she just calls them the creatures. She doesn't. She's always like, I don't know what they were. I don't want to put a name to them because I really like. It was just so. I mean, obviously they were terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen something that you've never seen before, and you're trying to attribute, because your mind automatically tries to make it something that you
Mhm.
know, because if you can't comprehend what you're seeing,
Your
your
brain
body
just wants
doesn't,
to make
your
something
body
up.
just wants to shut. Yeah,
Yeah.
like your body's just going to shut down because I mean, you're going to be in shock, and your body doesn't want to do that because that's why you have like the fight or flight
Yeah.
instinct. So your mind tries to tell you those could probably be bears, even though they look nothing like a bear.
Yeah.
It's just like, get in the house. That's all you need to do right now.
Whatever it is, it wants to eat you.
Right, right. But she did say that the creatures started to circle around, moving sideways as to keep their eyes on them. Um, she recalled seeing long claws protruding from their toes and glistening with the dew from the wet grass. I don't
Hmm.
know how I feel about that. Like, I feel like in that moment, if you're that terrified, time just slows down
Yeah.
and you're just like, you're taking in everything. Um, but oh yeah, and as they moved, they stayed together, like the creatures did. So now aware of the danger that they were both in, they obviously went back into the house. Excuse me.
It took them long enough. I
I
feel.
Right? I feel like that was a long time. But
Yeah.
I mean, but it was probably like, and that's what she said. She said it felt like forever. But, it was probably only a matter of like seconds to
Yeah,
maybe
like you
a
said,
minute.
time slows down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But okay.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'd stick around long enough. Like I see something crawling for me. I'm not sticking around long enough to figure out what it is.
Well, I mean, but it's
No,
but
I'm not even curious at that point. I like said, like I know it wants to just eat me.
well,
So
I know, but
I'm gonna take me off the menu.
but coming from a rational standpoint though, like you at that point, like if you know the area, you know what kind of animals to expect to see, and you see these things, like at that point, I think I would freeze up for a little bit. I think I would just stare at them and be like, "What are you?" Like,
Maybe it's the city girl in me
maybe.
that it's so like already um super quiet places it's already an it's an uneasy feeling for me already.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not sticking around for freaking anything. Like I'm getting the fuck out of there.
Right.
You might
Um,
bleep that
okay.
one
Oh yeah.
out.
Yeah, no. I think I would. I think I would stand there for a minute and try to figure out what they were. I mean, obviously I wouldn't let them get like right up next to me, but I mean, 20 feet away is a good distance. To
But
where if you're looking at something in the middle of the night, there's no outside lights. You know what I mean? Like there's no like lights from the city or anything.
all the reasons for you to get inside and stop trying to investigate is Are you gonna be the one dead in the scary movies? Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Be
You
like,
want to sit around and find out what's happening?
what's that noise? Let me go look.
No, what's that? I mean, I'm probably tripping my only, over my feet by running, but I'm the girl that runs. I'm not sticking around.
Right. So Eric, once they got back into the house, he did later tell Paranormal Witness, which I think used to be another show on Sci-Fi. That might have been the actual show
I feel like I remember that show.
that they
I'll
did.
need to watch it.
Yeah. Um, but he later told them that he had never seen anything like it. He said, but they were huge and dangerous looking.
Mhm.
Yeah, from the way that Shelley described them, I
Yeah,
would say that that's, a wrap on that.
yeah, that seems dangerous.
Right. So of course, Eric, understandably, felt like he needed to protect his family, but his guns were locked outside in the shed. I know you forgot that part, didn't you?
I did.
Uh-huh. While he was thinking of what to do, Shelley had run upstairs to check on Chelsea. While she was upstairs, Eric decided to go back outside. His plan was to get his car and back it up by the porch, and like basically rescue his family. He then stepped out onto the porch. Meanwhile, back in the house, Shelley was closing all the doors and windows. As she was doing this, she found their dogs cowering in a dark corner, refusing to move even when she called them. See, that's why they should never went outside to begin with if their animals didn't listen.
See, you're being rational. Like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, if I ignored that sign and I did go outside, I would try to figure it out for a second. Not long enough to die, but just long enough to see what it is.
yeah, I need to know how fast I need to run.
I mean, if I'm already standing up and the door is right behind me to get into the house, I'm gonna stand there for a little, like, and until I feel like they're like too close. I'm standing there and I'm gonna look and try to figure this stuff out.
I think at that point, I wouldn't even feel safe behind my doors because they're that big.
Right.
Good.
And there's 5 of them.
Yeah,
Like that, I think that's the part that would freak me out the most. It's not 1 or 2 or 3, it's
we're
5.
clearly outnumbered here.
Right. Okay. Oh,
This is
yeah.
why I do woods.
So upstairs, she found Chelsea asleep. Chelsea recalls her mother waking her up and being very anxious to show her something outside of her window.
What?
Now remember, they're upstairs, they're on the second floor. So, but I mean, you just seen something, you don't know what it is. I'm gonna wake up everybody in the house and be like, hey, come look at this shit.
I don't know if I'm waking up my kids though.
Well, I mean, her daughter was old enough to have a boyfriend at the time, so I think she was just, I would still,
Maybe she just needed confirmation that she wasn't losing it.
that could be too. Because I mean,
Because
I think that's how I would feel. Like even me and my husband seen something, and we
Mhm.
both came into the house. Like I think I would still need that confirmation that I actually seen what I think I just saw.
Yeah.
You know. But she said when they got to the window, they could see all 5 of the creatures waiting in the crouched position. So Chelsea went on to state that she was still half asleep. So she just basically disregarded the whole situation.
Mm.
And Shelley was like, I'm not sure it really registered properly what she was looking at because Chelsea just turned around and went back and laid in the bed. Um,
What?
right? I don't know. Oh, to
I
be
think that
fair,
would wake me up instantly. Like,
yeah,
oh,
no, I'd be like, what the hell is that? But as Shelley stood looking out the window, one of the creatures stood up and looked straight up at her. So At that point, I think that's where she got the recollection of how tall they were.
Okay.
Uh, but so as Eric stepped out onto the front porch, he seen that the creatures were about 25 to 30 feet away by the pond. He decided that was far enough for him to make it to his vehicle. I don't think I would. I mean, I get it. He's the man of the house. I don't think I ever would have left the house again.
But again, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, those things are that big and there's that many of them. They can get into your house.
Right. If they wanted to, I'm sure they could.
And
Uh,
the dogs are terrified. So they're not much help.
right. The dogs are like, no, leave us out of this. We want
Right.
nothing to do with this.
And like,
Um,
if they're like little teeny tiny purse puppies, like, okay, I get it. But what
right.
if they're big old like German shepherds,
Hmm.
Rottweilers, pit bulls? Like it.
Yeah, no, any of them getting scared, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, no.
It's just, you know.
A Saint Bernard. If that's getting scared, oh no. It's time to move.
Right. But yeah, so he decided 25 to 30 feet away was enough for him to make it to the vehicle. However, as he approached, the motion light went off that's in their driveway.
Hmm.
In that moment, he realized just how vulnerable he was as he noticed that one of the creatures had moved dangerously close to him. I would not be okay at this point. I would have pissed myself.
I would have known how vulnerable I was the second I seen more than one. It's not a fair fight. I would have, again, I don't know. How far was the shed? Because that's where his guns were.
Uh-huh.
How far
Um
was he from the shed?
so they didn't really give a distance. They just said that the shed was kind of off from the house. Um but if he thought he could make it to his car before the shed, I'm assuming the car was closer.
Yeah. Or he
That's
just
what
wasn't thinking about it, or it was like straight panic and wasn't thinking about it. Maybe he was trying to run him over.
all he wanted to do was get the car to the house so he could get Shelley and Chelsea in the car and leave. That was his plan. It didn't
I,
work.
that I Oh, he already panicked.
I know. um, so it did. It moved dangerously close to him. Eric said all of a sudden, one was right there. I looked at it and it looked right back at me. And then he said he thought for sure it was going to come after him. He said, but it did seem as if the creature didn't want to come into the light because what it did was it literally just turned around and bolted back to the field over by the pond where the rest of them were hanging out.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of wondering if it was like trying to like because why would only one go over there? Would it be like just to like size them up?
Either that or it was the test dummy to see what Eric was gonna do.
Yeah, that's
What
true.
if he was like the lowest creature on the totem pole? And they're
Yeah.
like, all right, you gotta take one for the team. We're gonna
I
see
know,
what
like he did his son go around there without that flashlight.
Yeah. Like he sent his son out, I'm sending you out.
But anyway, realizing the danger that he was in, he ran back to the house, obviously.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I would have done that. I I just I don't know how I would handle this whole night to begin with. But anyway, so once he back into the house, Shelley obviously was very upset that he even went back outside.
Fair enough.
After some discussion, they did decide to call the police, which I think I would have done that first.
I can't say that I would.
You don't think you'd like okay, so you're trapped in your home by five things that you don't even know what they are. You wouldn't even think to call the police. I mean, obviously, I would not tell the police that there's some like weird creatures that I've never seen before. I would lie and say that somebody's trying to break into my house to get them there faster.
But so here's where scary movies come into play again.
Hmm.
They always call the police, and the police always end up dead. I don't want to be responsible for that.
Well,
I don't want to watch a cop get tossed around by, like a beach ball.
But maybe the flashing lights would have scared them away. If they don't if they don't like light, like if they wouldn't even come into the light where he was standing by his, standing close to his car.
But so, okay, with that being said, at the beginning, it said that there was flashing lights in the woods.
True. But I don't know if that's the same.
Was it all connected or?
They don't know.
Mm.
So that's why I like this story so much, because there's kind of three different things going on. You have the little ghost girl
Mm-hmm.
wandering around the property. There's
They're her
strange
protector pets.
there's strange there's strange lights in the woods. And then now there's these five creatures that you don't know where they came from.
So the little girl is having a party. That's with the lights, right? And the seven creatures, five or seven creatures,
Five.
those are her like, protective pets.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, it could. I don't know. So yeah, they did decide to call the police. However, the police thought that they were just mistaking a harmless animal for a dangerous one. Because I'm assuming they said that there's some animals outside that are dangerous.
All animals outside are dangerous.
Right.
But again, these are people who are used to the woods and
Hmm.
okay.
So at that point, they basically just felt trapped in their own home. No one was coming to help. Eric was frustrated to feel so helpless. He decided he was going to try to make it to the shed. He he didn't want Shelley to know, obviously. Um, and indeed, she didn't know he went out of the house a second time until he did his interview with Paranormal Witness.
What?
Yeah. So Eric again hobbled out onto the porch for a second time because remember, he has this back injury. He can,
Right.
I mean, it's even hard for him just to walk, let alone like run.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, he went into the range of the motion light as he remembered the creature didn't seem to want to come into the light. Once the light had come on, he could see the reflecting eyes of all five creatures. Half of them started moving to his left, while the others started circling to his right. It looked as though they were going to pounce. As a hunter, he realized the predator behavior. He knew that they were getting ready to take down their prey. At this time, he decided to abandon his plan to get his weapons and ran back into the house. I too would have abandoned my plans.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have went out. I wouldn't have went out the second time. There's no way. I mean, I get it. Like he's the man of the house and he's trying to take care of his family, but that's a lot.
Mm.
Um, at that moment, Shelley heard the creatures coming. She thought that they would easily smash through the door or the windows. As she came back downstairs, she could see that Eric looked visibly terrified. So when he decided to go out the second time, she must
Mhm.
have been back upstairs with Chelsea
Yeah.
or, somewhere up there. Um, because, like I said, she didn't even know he went outside that second time. Um, but at that moment, let's see, where did I go? Okay, yeah. So, with no other options, the family had to basically wait it out. They armed themselves with whatever they could find. They then went back upstairs and woke Chelsea up to come into the master bedroom. Um, for a while, it was quiet outside, but then they heard rustling. Shelley did state that when the creatures ran, you could feel it, like you could feel the vibrations in the ground. It was like that, I think, in itself would scare the crap out of me. She said they made low guttural growl sounds, and it sounded like they were communicating with each other. And then they could hear them moving around all night.
Ugh.
I know. Um, But she said as the sun started to come up, they no longer could hear nor see them. Um, so at that time, Eric called his son Sean to come home. They did try to collect evidence all that day. So they were like walking around, like taking pictures of the tracks, along with, footprints and then the tall grass that was kind of laid down by the pond where the creatures had been kind of all night just hanging out, watching them.
Mm.
But you do have to keep in mind now, this was in 2007. Um, one of them did try that night, and I don't know if it was Shelley or Eric, but one of them did try to take a picture of it, but of course it didn't come out because, cell phones were just starting with camera phones back then.
Yeah.
Um, and then the only other thing that does suck about this is Shelley did end up having to get a new phone. So the pictures that they did have at the time
We're
were
gone.
lost on the old SIM card. Yep. But I can tell you this, they did not hesitate to move from that property after that.
So my question
hmm
is it the property or is it them?
Well, so Shelley basically did try to find like answers. Like she was nervous. Like she thought maybe it was them. And
Mm-hmm.
so she did go, into the good old age of online
Mm.
and was like, I don't know what these things are. Well, do they follow you? And of course nobody could come back with anything because nobody knows what they really are.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if something like that happens to you, I mean, that's going to stick with you the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I obviously they didn't say like where they relocated to or anything, but I'm going to assume they moved to a nice suburb area surrounded by houses.
At least in the city.
Right. Because I mean, that's a dramatic is and I tried to look up stuff for Eric to see it like if he still like continues to hunt and stuff cuz I feel like having that sort of experience, I don't know if I would go back into the woods especially alone, like regardless of where you are.
No, that would put the brakes on anything wood related. No.
Right. And I couldn't find any records of like who it got sold to. So if there's been any more strange things or if it was something weird, like where these things, whatever they were just kind of like passing through.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know there's a whole lot of stories similar to those that have come out of Maine.
It well, there's been I've so this one's kind of weird for me. So I've heard a lot of things about figures and creatures and
Mhm.
in the eastern side of the United States,
Yeah,
within the woods, Appalachians, all that.
right. And a majority of the time they're known as like dogmen.
Yeah. No, what was the other one? No, I can't remember what it was.
hmm
But I mean that I've seen a lot of things like that, and maybe that's why I'm afraid of the woods or outdoors, really,
Right.
because of things like that. Because you grow up and you hear about stories like that, and
Right. Right.
it's not uncommon.
No, and that's the thing that is not uncommon, but people just throw it off to the side too, though. They're like, "Oh, that's scary," but it could have been this, or
Yeah,
it could have
because in
been
my
that.
mind,
Right.
I'm like, well, it's probably like a huge wolf or a bear, or
I
I'm
mean,
gonna blow it off because that's just,
right.
and it's one of those things like you'd have to see it for yourself, I feel like,
Right.
or experience it. And I don't want to downplay their experience because God, that's got to be traumatizing.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I ever seen anything like that, I don't know. I don't know. I just know I probably would never go back to wherever I seen that at.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm staying the hell away from the woods. Like, this is
Right.
not what we're doing. There's a little ghost girl having a party, and now her pets are coming after me. I'm good.
Well, and I think, but the reason why I think I do like their story so much is because, they don't claim for it to be werewolves or
Yeah,
like dog men or anything like that. They're just from their perspective, they're describing exactly what they saw.
right.
They're
And so
not trying to say,
terrifying.
"Oh, our family was hunted by werewolves" or anything like that. Because in the actual episode, they try to say that they could hear them like scratching and clawing and banging on the walls and stuff, and she's like, and that was fictitious stuff. She goes, really the only thing we could hear was them running around all night, and
Hmm.
we those low guttural growls, like,
Oh, so like the show was trying to hype it up to be even
right,
dramatic.
right.
But it's already dramatic enough. Like they
Yeah,
were
no,
trying to.
and that's why I don't like TV shows sometimes, because they try to make it more dramatic. It's like, how could anything be more dramatic than that? Like,
Well,
that's
see,
dramatic in itself.
and I think that's why, like, with a lot of things that I'm coming up with, I'm not relying on things I've seen on TV. Like I'm
Right,
specifically looking things up,
right,
and there's so many stories, and it makes you wonder how many times these TV shows do that to
right,
make it more terrifying than what it is. I mean,
right,
not to say that it's not terrifying.
right. But they're trying to like liven it up a little bit, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what sells, and that's what gets the views. And
But it doesn't need to be. I mean, that story on its own, especially with all the blog stuff that I did find from Shelley's own personal like accounts,
hmm,
that's scary enough. I don't
yeah,
need anything extra.
right. No, leave me alone, damn it. Like,
Mhm.
because and so here's this like, doesn't it kind of speak it more into existence so then you'll be more sensitive to scarier things happening? More dramatic?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think they're just really trying to figure out what it was,
Yeah.
you know.
Again, I don't want to downplay their experience or anything like that. Like,
Right.
I was already out when you said they moved into the woods. Like, nope.
You're like, "No, no, we
No,
don't go there."
absolutely not.
I know, but if you think about it, what scares us the most though?
The
Like,
unknown.
yeah, the unknown, like being in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, kind of secluded, like that in itself would freak most people out.
Well, so here's the funny thing, okay? I'm not I'm not too far away from like wooded areas. I want to say like the woods, but I'm not it. But like I won't even go into my backyard at night.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like no. And I'm not like very city anymore. I live in a decent little suburban area.
Right.
But no, I'm still scared of my backyard because again, I don't do outdoors.
Right.
There's a reason why. I
But
was
it's
raised
also
on the
dark outside.
yeah, and it gets incredibly dark. It's so
Mhm.
dark.
Yeah, no, I just like for things to be stacking up in that story, that because also in the which is funny, I thought they didn't mention it, but in the I believe in the sci-fi show, like
Mhm.
I didn't even know about the little ghost girl. Like I had to find that on, like, Shelley was the one in one of the blogs that I read, she was the one that talked about it. She's like, they didn't mention this, they didn't mention that.
So they
Like,
were just trying to focus on
straight up, yeah, like the
the
whatever was, yeah,
well, I don't want to call it that because I don't she didn't want to call it that. So
right. Just the creatures, whatever
the
they were.
creatures.
Yeah, whatever they were, that's what they were focused on the most. Which I get it, because that's, scary. But I mean, when I was looking up the story, like, and they were talking about that, and I was like, well, where was this? Like, in everything I've ever seen about this story, you know? So I don't know. I just I'm glad they made it out like that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. Like the story in general. Like it creeps me out that there could be things out there like that that we don't know.
Oh, I believe it. There's so many things out there.
Yeah, it's just
And like I said, and like we both said, like the unknown is terrifying.
right. Yeah, that but I thought I would share that one with you because like I said, I don't think too many because I mean, it aired a while ago, but and I
I
like
like that one.
yeah, I try to think of I don't know, I've been so fascinated with that story ever since I first heard it. And then
Well,
to go on to see that she's actually, like, joined people's blog stuff that were talking about it, so
yeah,
she could, like, set the story straight. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm definitely doing this one."
yeah. Especially when it comes to like how something was overhyped, and she's like, no, that's.
Right.
I think that brings more. It makes it more valid
Right. Well,
because
and
she's like,
that's
no, it wasn't
it was
that. It was bad, but it wasn't that.
right. Yeah, obviously, it was terrifying, but they weren't trying to, like, bust down the door.
Right. But again, I think that's just where they wanted to take it because that's what one would expect, I
Right.
guess. Because like I said, like there's no doubt in my mind that something like that would be able to break into my house and kill me.
Right.
It's
Oh, no, you would have to be, like, terrified the whole night,
yeah.
you know? I mean, just sitting
The
there
whole
waiting for
night,
the sun to come up
the
and
whole night, every night until I moved out.
right.
Like,
I know. Well, I'm assuming what they did was when that did happen, I don't think they stayed there too much longer. I did read at some point where Shelley did say that they did stay like at least a few more nights at the house eventually, but she said she felt so vulnerable because even in their master bedroom, it was basically like they had windows to like the right and left of the bed, like the bed set in between
oh
them. And she said she just felt like they could just reach in the window and like grab them out.
God, I feel like they're outside my window all night stalking me.
Yeah.
The hunter became the hunted. See, you've sealed the deal. I've already been pretty against camping.
Oh my god.
I definitely will not be camping.
I think you're okay.
No, what if I'm not though? So
I think it'll be okay.
you think
I'm
so? You go camping then.
I still go camping. I go
Do
camping
you?
all the time. I can't say all the time, but
As often as you can.
me
Yeah.
and my sister went what in 2020 when everything was shut down. We took a road trip to uh to go just we just went and camped in the woods out in the middle of nowhere up in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh no. No,
Well, I
no.
mean everything was shut down, so you couldn't really go anywhere and you couldn't be like really around people. So we just went out together.
So I have a question for you.
Hmm.
With your experiences,
Yeah.
does it scare you even more to go camping or to hear things like this?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it creeps me out. And by all accounts, like because they themselves did not try to play it up. Like they were just stating basically what they seen at, like factual stuff.
Yeah.
They were coming as like, you know, like this is not some scary story. This is actually what we've seen. Let's just stick with the facts here. That's what makes me believe them. So, and I do think that there are things out there that we don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I'm still gonna go camping.
Mm.
Until something like that happens to me, I'm still gonna go in the woods.
Yeah, you're definitely the one that dies first in the movie.
It'll be fine. I'll be fine.
It's fine. It's
But
just
no, yeah, no, I would not give up I mean, like I said, until something like that happened to me, I would not give up camping.
but are you really willing to test that theory?
Yes.
Yes, okay. No.
I'm not gonna stop doing something that I like doing because everybody, like other people, are having experiences and stuff.
But I feel like you're already sensitive to these kind of things
Well, yeah, but not to creatures in the woods.
that you
I'm
know of.
I'm more sensitive to like paranormal stuff.
That oh, wouldn't you say that's kind of paranormal?
I think that I mean, the little ghost girl is like paranormal, and maybe the flash, maybe the lights.
Okay, so wait, you wouldn't think that these creatures, like, you think there's like some unknown animals out there and creatures that we just have not explored the woods enough to
Well,
know
I
about?
mean, I don't think that we haven't explored the woods enough. I think that there are things out there that we don't know about.
Mm.
When so more of a supernatural type of thing, like I don't even know what you would call that. What do they call that? People who believe in Bigfoot and stuff. It's
Um,
like crypto things, isn't it?
um,
Cryptozoology? Yes.
conspiracy theorists.
No. It's cryptozoology.
Well,
So
see,
but on a level though, I do think it's some sort of kind of like supernatural thing. But when you say paranormal, my mind immediately goes to like ghost and pretty much just ghost.
well, see, and that's where my mind goes when you say either or supernatural or paranormal, and
Hmm.
maybe that's because like I align it all the same.
Right.
It's so like I believe in aliens because I think it's crazy to think that there's other planets and this is the only planet with life.
Right.
I don't think they're down here trying to be friends or trying to dupe us or anything like that.
Right.
They don't want to
Well,
visit us.
maybe sometime in the future, uh, we can go UFO hunting. We'll
So
just we'll
that
just go
feels like
out
to
into the
me that feels like to me cornfields or woods and
well, no, not necessarily. You can go out. You can live anywhere far away from civilization, not necessarily the woods,
the
which
desert.
is yeah, we could go to the desert or hear me out.
Mhm.
Uh, if you do go up to the Upper Peninsula
Uh-huh.
or anywhere up there, because it's so dark. It is so dark, Nikki.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy. Um, you can see satellites, shooting stars, the aurora borealis.
You
Like
know, we just need to go to Alaska.
there's so many cool things to see. But you might also see a UFO. I don't know. I don't know.
Like maybe it's gonna be a night full of surprises.
Right?
Listen,
Anything
down.
anything could happen when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
We will listen. Don't think I will not drive to the Upper Peninsula, and we can meet there and do some hunting. Not in the winter though,
Oh no, 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 no.
because
No. If anybody if anybody does listen to this podcast and would like us to do some weird, like going around looking for things, we're definitely down to do that, but not in the winter time.
no, no, no. I might like I. It's already cold enough in Michigan.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Um.
no. I woke up this morning in my house. I'm in Minnesota, by the way, podcast. I woke up this morning and it was cold in my house. And I'm like, what is going on? It was
Mhm.
57 degrees. You know why? Because my freaking thermostat died and needed new batteries, so my heat wasn't on all night.
Wait, so you've already turned your heat on?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's been like in the 30s at night here.
Yeah, here too. But I
So when I say I turn my heat on, my heat's only set to like 62.
no, and that's fine and that's fair. Me, I just can't rationalize turning my heat on yet. But I think that's also because my bedroom gets so hot. When I get home in the morning,
Right.
I I just want to go to sleep.
Right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this podcast. What do you think?
I think this was a good one. I think so.
That was a very good first episode, I think, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. Also, we did set up a YouTube channel. It's called Supernaturally Suspicious Podcast. I know I can't even talk anymore. Um, and if you would like to submit your own stories for us to tell, I think we're going to try to do once a week where we tell viewer stories of the paranormal or supernatural or anything weird like I just told today. Um, you can email us at supernaturallysus@gmail.com. So we'll look forward to all of those.
Yes. Give us your stories.
Give us your stories.
And so my role in this is I'm the one that's, as she keeps saying, rational. I don't know if it's rational. I want to think of every outcome first
I know
before
that's being rational though.
but it's only so I don't scare myself. Otherwise, I'm sleeping with the TV and all the lights on and the curtains shut because I don't need a 7-foot animal outside my door or my
Right.
windows.
Well, and see, and with me, I believe in the paranormal. I've had many experiences. Whereas Nikki, you said you may have had one, but you can kind of write it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a couple. And I was so young, and I've heard stories from my mom and my sister who had their own experiences.
Right.
But there's nothing that that
That
really that I
like
can't write
stands
off.
out.
Yeah.
Right.
So my role, like, I'm not trying to discredit anybody. I'm not trying to none of that. But I have questions.
Right. No, you just want to understand.
I do.
So, yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode. Welcome to episode 1.
Yay! Pew pew pew.
I know we'll just have to do our own sound effects.
We are. We are.
But everybody have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time it is when you're listening or watching this. We're going to try to upload once a week.
Yep.
We do have a few stories in the background that just need to be recorded. But I want to thank everybody again for stopping in. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss another episode. And on Spotify, what do you do on there, Nikki?
Um, we are going to upload it just as normal. Spotify, I have to set that portion up still.
Hmm. But what did do
So,
they? So do they like? Is there a way for them to like subscribe or
yeah,
like? I
yeah,
don't
they'll
know.
be able to subscribe to it. It'll be like a whole new profile, and
Okay.
they can subscribe to it. Um, and I'll try to get the episodes out on there as much as we get them out everywhere else. I want it all to match up. I don't.
Right. No, and I think we're gonna. I think okay, yeah. So for this one, I think we're gonna try to do by Halloween. So anyway, everybody have a great time. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully soon, since we are gonna be putting this on YouTube too. Um, we're gonna get our faces up there eventually. Not
Yes.
not all the way, but enough. And
Enough.
you'll see what that means if you just stick around.
So let us know what you think and if there's anything you want us to cover or attempt to cover.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye.